right. Now we need to get into like a goofy mood. Now I'm like all serious. That was a great last question to get us into this. So, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Something Random podcast, where sometimes we talk about television, sometimes we talk about movies, but we always talk about something random. I'm your host, Charles Joseph Kelly.
Well, hey there, I'm your co-host, Michael C. Macbeth.
I'm your co-host, Scotty Schaefer.
Hi again. It's Joel again. I'm another co-host. Hi.
And with us this week, we have the wonderful Dr. Angela and Dr. Stephanie from Chasing the Mind. Welcome,
Yay.
guys.
Hi, Doctor.
Hey, good to hear from you.
How are you guys doing?
We are fabulous.
We are having a great day.
Fabulous. I'm having a great
Fabulous.
day too. What's the weather like? Let's just do all the stupid little conversations that we possibly can right at the beginning of the podcast.
It's been humid and unpleasant.
Overcast.
Overcast.
Come to Colorado. It's very rarely humid here. Like, it's always super dry. It's wonderful.
Dry as a bone.
But when it is
I
humid,
love
it's
that.
fine.
I went to Colorado, and my glasses of iced tea never sweated.
So here's my question about when you came to Colorado. Did you smoke the reefer?
No, it was actually my most recent visit was a little bit before that law went through, I think.
Okay.
Also, I was
so
with
you
my...
came to Colorado before it was the thing to do just for the pot. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was with my close friend, her mother, and we were visiting her elderly aunt, so...
Not a lot of opportunity to toke
Yeah,
up.
it wasn't like a token up kind of trip. But I did visit the Celestial Seasonings Tea Factory in Boulder. That was
in Boulder.
awesome.
So let's just jump right into it. What have you guys been watching this week?
Well, BBC America has been reshowing a ton of Star Trek because of the new Star Trek Discovery. So I've been pretty much rewatching Next Generation and Voyager.
Yes, Voyager's so good.
Excellent.
Okay, let's do top 3 captains. Who's your number 1 captain? And why is it Janeway?
Oh, it's between Janeway and Picard.
That's where I always go, is between those two, but I think Janeway is my number 1.
She's kind of interesting. First of all, she evolved into a giant slug. Who doesn't love that?
And they had like weird babies.
And they had
when
weird
were
slug babies.
Oh, I remember that episode. It was the one where they went to Warp 10. It was so good.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah, it was also confusing.
Yeah, like
Syndicated television.
But Picard, I mean, Patrick Stewart's Patrick Stewart. I mean, there's just something special there. But, and Janeway's a woman. You gotta give her props for that.
I love Janeway, and her consistent quest for coffee is just like my current goal in life right now as we're recording this podcast. So I relate heavily to that.
I would like to jump in here and call you out on saying Janeway's awesome just because she's a woman.
Oh, no,
she's
no,
an
yeah,
excellent
come
captain,
on.
regardless
Come on,
of gender.
Doctor.
No,
Regardless.
she's awesome because she's awesome, but it's also nice to be represented.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, that I would say. But I would say, like, even just on merits alone, I'm like, pff, she's amazing. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I was
mean,
late to that
she's the
game,
only one that really was like put in a situation that was not what she thought she was getting into.
Right.
Yes.
I'm just going to be quiet because I haven't seen any of this stuff. So, no, I mostly watch cartoons. So,
What are you watching?
Excellent.
Okay, we can talk about cartoons.
Yes.
Let's do it.
let's see. I have children, so I watch things like Moana 100 times, which is
Okay.
an
Oh,
amazing
cry.
film. And
This is the new Frozen, people.
no,
But,
they're just
see-
writing now. They're not doing cartoons anymore. They're doing Broadway musicals in animation. Is what they're
Yeah,
doing.
but at least Moana was decent. Frozen was still just a steaming pile of poop. But that's just...
Hey.
No.
I will say that flat out. Frozen was not that great of a Disney film.
I thought it was way overplayed, overrated. It was well done. I didn't think it was a game changer. by
Okay,
any
doctors,
means.
we need your analysis on these two gentlemen.
No, I really do think that Frozen. You could tell from the beginning. I mean, they just wrote it as a Broadway play that they were going to set to
Yeah.
and they were going to color. But but they still fell into all the same tropes: the dead parents, the love interest thing, the whole. Ugh. So the thing I loved about Moana was that it was just about this really strong female character who was going to do something good, and there was none of that stuff going on with that she had to have all this tragedy or she had to be in love with someone. It was just this awesome female little warrior, and I think that's a great model for kids.
I think so too.
I agree.
I think there could be an argument that Frozen had to happen before Moana could really take off the way it did. Just as far as it'd be too big of a leap to go from no love interest all out of nowhere. I can't believe I'm defending Frozen right now, but with everything else that it went on with it, don't forget at the very, very end of Frozen, the true love's kiss was for her sister and not with the guy.
It wasn't a kiss, but the act of true love.
But the act of true love. You know what I mean? To sacrifice herself, spoilers, every 5-year-old who hasn't seen it.
And, I was thinking about that a lot this weekend. 3 of us went to a wedding, and there were a lot of just wonderful people that I haven't seen for so long. And I was trying to think of a song to play as I was heading home, and I legit could not think of any songs that are about platonic love. And that's probably me being sheltered, but
I heard that little laugh on the other end over there. I don't know. I heard that. That was great.
Moana and Frozen, I think they both made great strides in that sense, that saying you can have friends, you can love people without romantically loving them.
Yeah.
And that was the relationship that Moana had with the demigod. What's his name?
Jeff.
Larry.
Mo.
Curly. And
Mo and Moana.
Maui?
Yeah, Maui.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then the sisterly love in Frozen, all of that I think was such a good representation of different forms of love than just relationships.
Instead of just boned down relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I haven't seen Moana, but I will say, in defense of not even Frozen, but sometimes I get sucked in by minor characters, and I really like Sven the reindeer in Frozen, as
He's
well
probably one of
as
the better parts of that film. Yeah.
And then that snowman, he was
Olaf.
I mean, when they're like, "Oh, are we going to tell him what happens when you go to the beach if you're a snowman?"
I have problems with Olaf in the.
Don't we talk about Olaf?
I will be talking about Olaf. Olaf, if you remove him from the movie is the exact same. There's no point to Olaf in the story.
There is a point, and it's to lighten the story.
It is to lighten the story, but it looks like he's surgically removed from a DreamWorks film, put into a Disney film, and then there's no point. Are
you telling me that you would have liked it better if they said, "Do you want to build a snowman?" and then never built a snowman? Is that what you're saying?
I would love to see.
Do you want to build a snowman? Nah.
No. All I would have wanted to see was a better emotional arc for the snowman. That's all. That's it.
Maybe that's going to be in Frozen 2. Olaf goes to the beach.
Well, Charles,
that's going to be a very quick arc.
You've yet to see the stage show, so you've got to see the stage show.
Is it better?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Cool.
Honestly, anything I have to say about Olaf is really just me being jealous of the actor who got to do it. I'm like, I could have done that.
Come on.
I know.
He's in everything now.
Yeah. Of course he's in everything.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think they just created Olaf because they wanted to get Josh Gad. That's
I'm sure that's what it was. They're just like, hey, do something. Guys, the guys in the CG department, you draw something up? Doodle, doodle, doodle. That's it. You're in the picture.
Kind of like in Glee where they wrote Kurt in because of the audition.
I think it was more that they needed to sell merchandise for Frozen, so they created a cute little snowman. That's probably
true. Olaf is kind of like a Winter Olympics
absolutely
mascot.
Again,
he is definitely the Ewok of.
You are Jar Jar Binksing Olaf. Don't do that.
Although I would very much enjoy seeing a version of Frozen with Olaf surgically removed. I think that would be
I'd rather see Olaf in Star Trek.
I would rather see Jar Jar Binks in Frozen. Let's be
you
real.
bite your tongue.
Actually, some people have removed Jar Jar Binks from that horrible Star Wars movie, and it's only 12 minutes shorter or something.
Hey, the prequel trilogy is amazing. I mean, the
What?
original trilogy never went into intergalactic trade law at all.
Some of that stuff was the most interesting parts of the Star Wars stuff.
Who are you? What are you talking
Are you
about?
kidding me?
The trade law was the most interesting part.
no.
You're
No,
the kid
I'm
who
not talking
goes
about the trade
you're like
law.
going to the library being like, guys, there's law books.
But like the interesting dialogue. Okay, yes, ha 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 ha, funny. But the Galactic Senate and all the stuff that was going on there, the political intrigue was so much more interesting than the midichlorians bullshit that they were trying to pull on the rest of the film.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, like getting stabbed in the leg was a lot better than getting shot in the leg.
Yes.
It was a slightly less stinky pile of poop than
I guess I need to watch them again. I don't know.
I will say I'm not a fan of car chases, and that pod racer scene is actually one of the better, like, quote, car chase scenes
Yes.
that I've
Visually,
seen.
that was
I thought it was good.
I loved all the pod racing video games that came out after that. It was
Oh my gosh, the
wonderful.
N64 pod racer game is...
That one was really good.
Amazing.
They also had a Game Boy one that was a top-down one.
I played that as
Yeah.
well. I didn't enjoy it as much as the N64, but yeah.
Anyways, sorry. But yeah, Star Wars, the prequels were a big steaming pile of poop.
The kid that played Anakin Skywalker is from the town we're broadcasting from.
Yeah,
right now.
exactly. And he's in jail.
Yeah, he's all
down the
screwed
road.
up.
Yeah.
Oh.
He got DUIs.
The
and
original
he's all-
Anakin Skywalker
For college,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Supergirl's from Colorado Springs.
Some bad stuff.
And Amy Adams was from Boulder.
What? Scotty Schaefer's right in the room.
Hello.
He's not as famous yet or ever.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna be a
We've
famous
digressed
butler one
quite
day.
a bit.
All right. So, do you guys have anything that you want to do really quick?
Yes, super quickly.
Really quick, really
super
quick.
quickly, because I've been sick. I've had pneumonia for like 2 months.
Do you need like you've got a list, right?
So let me just do
you need-
Scotty's
like, do you wanna,
Scotty's
like wrap it
TV
out and I'll
list.
just beatbox it?
I think it might be a little longer than that. You're gonna have to hold out the beatbox. Okay, so a couple things. Some shows that I've watched because I've been sick and missed a bunch of things. There's a TV show. There's a little mini series on Netflix called Ascension about what if in 1950s.
Don't spoil the thing.
I'm not going to.
Okay,
But
okay.
what if in the 1950s we did actually Kennedy did send a multi-generational ship into space where like people leave and then there's like 100 people on the ship and then they have to have kids and then those kids have to have kids and those kids have to have kids all on the ship in order to leave our solar system and go to some other planet. What would it be like to grow up on that ship and be like, I can't be a baseball player. I have to work on the ship. It was very fascinating.
What's that called?
It's called Ascension.
Really good.
Yeah, I'll
really
check that out.
intriguing twist to it. I don't want to spoil it, but it's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was only like it was like 6 episodes at like an hour
okay.
a piece or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's
So I was
okay.
like, so like in a weekend you can knock it right
Yeah,
out.
I'll
It's
check
very
that out.
interesting. And it's all enclosed in itself. So 6 hours and you're done. There's no second season or anything. I also watched a Netflix movie called What Happened on Monday about a world where it's kind of like they pull the China card where they say, hey, it's there's too many people, not enough food, you're only allowed to have one child. And then suddenly one lady, but because they had some other problems with food, they had to genetically modify the food, so suddenly everyone has like a bunch of multiple babies at once, multiple births. So they had to start like recalling children, like, hey, we're the child police, we're going to take your kids away, you only get to keep your firstborn. And it's one where they had 7 little girls, and so they named them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all through the days of the week. And then they all have to just live as one person, 1 day a week. It's very interesting because one of them goes missing, and they're like, what do we do?
Huh.
One more.
Darn you all. I also watched Big Mouth on Netflix, and everyone must watch it. It's a cartoon. It is not for kids. It's about, unless those kids are going through puberty, because oh my god, is it about going through puberty. like imagine when you have to go up and the teacher says, Scott, will you come up to the board and write this math problem? And you're like, I have a boner, I can't walk up right now. What if the boner
If I
was
had
a
a nickel.
monster over your shoulder talking about it the whole time? You're like, shut up, I gotta go do math. It was hilarious.
Do you guys have anything that you
Big
wanna...
Mouth?
Big Mouth.
That's
It's
great. I'm
full-
gonna check that
Maya
out.
Rudolph plays the female hormone monster.
Okay.
Oh,
It
wow.
is chock full of comedians and it's just gold.
You know, I was on vacation. I went to visit my mother and my sister and my 2 brothers in South Dakota this week, so I haven't been watching a ton of TV, but I can tell you what I'm behind on, which is Dance Moms.
so no Dance Moms watch
No
this week.
Dance Moms watch this week. I'm sorry. I'm a couple
do.
weeks behind. No Dance Moms, no American Horror Story, no Menendez Brothers, several things I haven't watched. But I watched Men in Tights yesterday. Robin Hood Men in
Yes,
Tights.
so good.
But other than that, I
Tights.
haven't watched much this week.
All right, I've got two really quick. First one is Mindhunter. Doctors,
Yes.
have you seen this yet?
Seth is watching.
No, this is based on the John Douglas books, the FBI books.
Exactly. It's based off the John Douglas books, and it's all about coining the term serial killer, and like, it's so good. It's so good. I highly
Yeah,
recommend
except
it.
that unfortunately, a lot of that quote unquote science has kind of been shown to not really be very predictive, and in fact, it's kind of a fairy tale that that
okay.
people
No,
tell
let's talk about
themselves.
this. I want to hear about this. No. Talk about this.
Did
So,
you it was the Blink guy, Malcolm
Gladwell.
Gladwell. Yeah, he wrote a really good piece on this, looking at the accuracy of basically this profiling unit that was developed in the FBI following all these interviews that took place. And it was Dr. Park Dietz, and I forget who the other person was, maybe John Douglas, and they interviewed all these different serial killers, and they came up with all these lists about, organized versus disorganized serial killers, blah, blah, blah. And he basically did an analysis of like how often they actually were able to give the, well, we predict he's going to be a 40-something-year-old loner, blah, blah, blah. And it's not very good. But the way that, our memories work is we only remember the ones that they were really good at predicting. And we don't remember that 55 times they completely weren't even close.
uh-huh.
And so, it's really, I read all the books, the John Douglas books, when I first got into forensic psych, and they're fascinating and very interesting. But I just don't know that we, from that, are able to really draw conclusions about, who particular people are. I mean, the case in Las Vegas is a perfect example of that, where the guy fits none of the really big things in terms of someone who might do something like this.
That's actually super intriguing about Mindhunter, that it's really not actually necessarily truthful.
Well, it's just like anything, whenever you ask a shrink, to tell you about, something about their work, they're always going to tell you like the stories where the patients got way better, right? I mean, they're going to tell you their best story. They're not going to tell you about the 15 people that left their office and never came back after one visit.
Right. Okay. That's true.
Well, the bridge, like the engineers aren't going to tell you the story about like, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge or whatever that fell down.
Right, exactly. So the other one that I've been watching was the Stephen King movie that just came out, the Gerald's Game, that's on Netflix. It's a 3-person cast, and it's all about this woman who gets chained up during sex with her husband.
Oh, that's
and
right.
he dies of a heart attack, and she's trying to escape from being chained up. And it's so good, and I want this to be a stage show. Why isn't this movie a stage show?
That would be amazing. Let's
It
see
might
if we
be.
can convert it.
It just kind of is getting out there. So
I think this is probably one
Why
of
don't
those
you write
things-
it?
I will. It's one of my
I think you'd
ideas.
have to adapt it.
I'll produce it.
Also, there's also Star Trek, and Scotty wanted to talk for like 2 seconds.
Okay, I have worked it down to one paragraph. I've been watching all of the Star Trek episodes, the new Star Trek Discovery.
It's
I've watched
good.
all of. I've also
so
watched
good.
all of the Orville,
Okay.
and I will tell you this: this is my expert opinion at this point. I have not only been watching Star Trek Discovery, but also as much other stuff on CBS All Access as possible, and I'm going to tell you that it is not worth it. You literally,
Wow.
because like here's what it comes down to. My expert opinion, and I can explain it if you want, but it's going to be to watch Orville in the meantime. Wait until Star Trek Discovery comes out on even an expensive Blu-ray set and buy it, and it's cheaper than using CBS All Access just for Star Trek.
Okay, so we're going to jump right into questions that we have been putting together from our audience. We got some good ones this week.
somebody had asked about the broadening of different kinds of families on television, and if that's...
I think the best way
if
to
it
handle
was-
this
if-
is...
I don't even really know how to paraphrase it
So
because
I
it's
think the
such
best way
an elaborate
to
question.
paraphrase this is this one of our listeners was interested in the changing of the
Nuclear
nuclear
family.
family.
Nuclear.
Yeah, the nuclear family, and if the change of the nuclear family is causing a problem in society from film and television.
And I think how we wanted to approach this question was which way does it go, or is it a little of both? That the media is a reflection of the changing culture, or if the media actually has a hand in changing the culture.
Yeah. And
We have our own opinions. We want to
We
hear
definitely
yours.
do.
Yeah.
So just to understand the question, are they saying like there's like multiple generations living together and extended families, things like that?
No.
not only that, but gay couples, interracial couples,
Single
single
parents.
parents, uncles living with, all kinds of different families.
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria.
One of my favorite quotes, by the way. Yeah, I mean, our culture, like especially American and Western culture, the fact that we even had this thing where we had the nuclear family, 2 parents who
2.5 kids.
2.5 kids and maybe a dog and a picket fence. I mean, that's actually unusual in the larger scheme of things. Like
Right.
many cultures have extended families, all kinds of people living with them, and people sort of entering and leaving the family system a little more fluidly, like, oh, Auntie Jane is going to come live with us for a while, and then going to leave, like, for whatever reason, to help with the care of a family member, or because they need help, or,
Yeah, I think that both the media does push the envelope. I think sometimes, like, you can think about, like, Norman Lear and the ways that he sort of pushed people through, like, All in the Family and those kinds of sitcoms. It was like they made things funny that people weren't comfortable talking about. And so in that way, I think that the media can kind of push people beyond kind of what they think is normal or normative. But I do think that the fact that we're seeing so much diversity in families across media is because of our changing society, and the fact that we are a multicultural society and there's more of an emphasis on telling diverse stories. I mean, I agree with Dr. Schwartz, the idea of the nuclear family that's so rooted in like this Freudian kind of idea of what's right and what's appropriate, and it's a very new concept. It's not something that's even it's not really part of our species, our evolution as a species. So I don't know. I don't think that the fact that we're seeing different pictures of families on TV and movies is really affecting what's going on in the culture in any kind of negative way, for sure.
I did actually recently, and by recently I think I mean yesterday, read this article about how online dating is very much increasing the rate at which interracial marriage happens. So it was already a trend that it was increasing, but it was sort of like showing like statistical modeling and how fast using statistical modeling interracial relationships would happen, all things being equal, but it's actually going up much faster than that, and that's because people are dating outside of their friend groups more than they used to, because they're meeting quasi-random people on the internet. And when you meet people a little bit more randomly, then you meet people outside of your ethnicity, race, religion, etc., more frequently than you would just in day-to-day contact. Yeah, I mean, it depends. Sometimes it's just random connections. I mean, some people just are open to dating someone of a different ethnicity or race, and it doesn't really matter to them. That's not the most important thing. And they're like, oh, well, I didn't really know somebody who was Native American or, whatever. But now here they're showing up on my Match profile. Sure, I'll meet them.
Sure. So online dating aside, do you think that there are specific movies or TV shows that have maybe opened that door a little bit to be more comfortable with interracial relationships?
No, there aren't as many interracial relationships as there is diversity.
I think that as far as, because if I remember the question, it was kind of like is it negatively affecting society or something like that, or the whole idea of is it mirroring society or whatever. I think that to look at our country as a whole, it's not all. It's not all the same. We're not all the same. North, south, east, west, midwestern, central, whatever. we're not all the same. Everybody, like literally from hundreds of millions of different reasons, we're not all the same. And so it's not even, I don't want to, it's trying to use like different colors that don't mean anything, not like red, blue or anything, but let's say that if you were to look at the country as like yellow and purple, two complementary colors, that it'd be like constantly changing and shifting, melding into each other, into the different colors, so that certain areas might be more purple than other areas be yellow. So then suddenly when you have certain a show like Modern Family or something like that, one part of the country might say, that's no big deal, I got two uncles that are married together, it's fine, while another part of the country says, oh, in my day that never happened, blah 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 blah, that kind of stuff. So suddenly for some parts of the country it could be more of a eye-opener, and for other parts of the country it could be more of a reflection. Or even like almost a boring reflection, like that happened 20 years ago.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think that that's one thing about the media, or about shows that come out where it's the same. Big Bang Theory is the same no matter where you watch it in the country. Modern Family is the same no matter where you watch it in the country. But then suddenly how it's received can be different just because of the way people were raised or grew up or around other people.
That's
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have something? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking we should move on to the next
Yeah,
one.
I think we're gonna go to our 6 degrees of separation. Now you say that you have one that's going to stump us. Now here's how I feel about this whole situation. I think you are wrong. So let's be real here.
We'll see.
I think we've only stumped each other a couple times since we started this. I think we're pretty solid on this. So the rules of 6 degrees of separation are as follows: that you need to know the name of the actor, know the name of the movie that they're in. You can use television, except for 30 Rock or SNL or any of those big cast shows. They have to be in the same episode. So besides from that, it's we're doing 4 minutes at this point.
So we got timer ready?
We're going to set a timer here in a second. Who do you have for us this week?
Okay, well, it happens to be Angela Lansbury's birthday today.
Ooh.
So I thought that we should use her as one of our people that we're going to connect.
Okay.
And you're going to connect her to Jennifer Lawrence. And before you start, I want to give the added challenge, if you are up to it.
Okay.
You can do this entirely with women.
Oh, that is a fun challenge.
I like that.
It's a
Okay,
shout out.
all right.
It's a shout out to the women of Hollywood this week.
Let's do it.
Yes.
I'm
Excellent.
I'm so down with this.
Let's start the timer.
I'm mad. I'm mad I've never played it this way before. Darn it. Darn it myself.
This is a great twist.
I want to play this way from now on for the rest
Yeah,
of my life.
I like this. So, and we're going to, while we deliberate our choice, we're going to take a brief word from our sponsors. All right, so let's do this, guys.
Okay.
So, well, let's not take off the headphones.
I'm just taking off my monitor.
Okay.
Okay, so
Hey guys, this is your humble host Charles, just checking in to see how things are going. Hey, so I bought a 2-person horse costume and I was thinking we can go trick-or-treating in it. Do you want to join me? So I want to do a few quick shout-outs and then one longer shout-out before we get back to the show. First off, thank you to Dr. Angela and Dr. Stephanie from Chasing the Mind. Their podcast has become one of my favorites to listen to each week, and I highly recommend it to anybody who is interested in psychology. We just recorded an episode with them discussing movies and television, and they do a quick little psychology test on us, and the results are pretty interesting. And we were talking about them after the shows. I don't want to spoil things, but it's pretty interesting. Pretty close to right, I feel. And that show should be up pretty soon. I'll keep you updated on when that releases. Next, thank you to everyone new who is checking out the podcast for the first time. I hope you find the podcast as enjoyable as I do and as the guys do. To our returning listeners, we couldn't do the show without you. We don't pay for advertising, so this podcast is completely word of mouth. If you like the show, you can tweet or Facebook about it using the hashtag something.random, or force a friend who enjoys movies to listen to the show. You can find us on all social media by searching Something Random. 99% of the time, we're the first thing that pops up. Or you can find us on Twitter at SMTNGRNDM. Links, as always, are in the description of this podcast. You can hang out with us, and it's always a grand old time. Next, a lot more seriously, I want to shout out all the women in our lives. I knew that there was a good amount of women in my life who have been sexually harassed, but Facebook has really opened my eyes to the extent of this situation. I did some quick research before recording this, and it's looking like more than 75% of the women that I'm friends with online have been harassed in some way, and that's just the women who spoke up. Now, I want to say, obviously, that your experiences and pain are valid. And even though it's just a drop of water in this fucked up ocean, the guys and I are going to try to do our best to cut out this cancerous growth that's plaguing our society. As always, thank you so much for listening to the show. Thanks again to the doctors for joining us this week. And as always, I love you.
Welcome to Chasing the Mind.
I'm Dr. Stephanie Schwartz. I'm kind of a science nerd.
I'm Dr. Angela Johnson. I am nerd adjacent.
The podcast that explores the art and science of the mind.
People really like us answering questions about psychological topics.
Yeah, whether it be issues they have in their lives or all manner of psychological disorders and concepts.
How do our thoughts influence our sense of who we are? How do we impact the world around us? And can changing our minds change everything?
We could even diagnose someone from a commercial. If you really want us to, I have some opinions about flow. I'll just tell you that right now.
Okay, I like flow. We're going to have to throw down about flow.
You can hear Dr. Angela and Dr. Stephanie at chasingthemind.com. New episodes every Friday.
All right, and we're back. We have to. This is a stressful situation that we're running into, guys. We may have an answer here, but we're not sure if it's actually an answer.
I'll look it up for you.
So what we've decided was Angela Lansbury was in Murder, She Wrote with Rob Lowe, who is in Parks and Rec with Chris Pratt, who is in Passengers with Jennifer Lawrence. Now, the problem is we don't know if Rob Lowe was in Murder, She Wrote.
I'm looking
sure.
it up right now. I
other-
thought I remembered him as a really young, hunky dreamboat.
So all you need to look
Murder,
up,
She Wrote,
all we need
but-
to look up is
he's
Rob Lowe,
still a
Murder, She
dreamboat.
Wrote, and if nothing pops up, we are screwed.
I looked
got
it
it.
up, and he was on the show.
Oh, okay.
But-
I was on pins and needles.
Okay.
Like,
So we
But we
didn't
did not
do
get the
the
bonus.
added challenge
We did not,
of only female actor
I know.
or
And
And
actresses.
you could
which-
actually have gotten there a couple of different ways with just using
Okay.
women, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
I want to
sure
hear
we
this
could've.
because, I think the spot was where we were stuck was Angela Lansbury trying to find, remembering people that were in stuff with her. I think is the issue.
Well,
But,
she was in Anastasia. She was also
what?
in Nanny McPhee.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, she was in Nanny McPhee. That's
I did not watch Nanny McPhee.
So the
but
way that
that's
I
awesome.
got there was through Anastasia, but so she was in an Anastasia with either Kirsten Dunst or with Parker Posey, and then you go down to if you go with Kirsten Dunst, then she was in On the Road with Amy Adams. Amy Adams was in Batman versus
Yep.
Superman with
Yep,
Jenna
yep, yep,
Malone. Jenna Malone was in Hunger Games, with Jennifer Lawrence.
Yep.
But you could have gotten there the
That's-
other way through Jennifer Lawrence to Julianne Moore, Emma Stone, Parker Posey, and Angela Lansbury.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That, I love that twist.
You know what?
Seriously.
I'm gonna say this. You guys stumped us.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys did.
Well, because of the added.
Yeah, and
The added
I
twist.
love
Yeah.
that challenge. I
Absolutely.
think that we're gonna add that to how we play this from here on out.
I
So-
was like, I hate that it's an added challenge. I just want it to be the game.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the game.
Yep. So because I think it's like a 50-50. You guys are very welcome to watch What the Health if you would like, because we wanted to make you guys watch how terrible that film is.
Ladies, it's so bad.
It's so bad.
But seriously, the last 15-20 minutes of it is very inspiring because it's all about just real human stories. It shouldn't have been a documentary, in my opinion.
No.
So you can look forward to that at least.
So what do you have for us to watch this week?
Oh gosh, we were supposed to pick some. Oh, I concentrated so hard on like trying to figure out something to connect. I didn't think about something.
So here is what we usually say is that it has to usually be on Netflix. Something that you like or you don't like. It could be either. We've been going towards movies that we enjoy lately because there's a lot of negative movies, but there's also a lot of good stuff that we haven't seen too. So what's something great that you've seen recently that's on Netflix?
I don't have Netflix.
So
It's
this
horrible,
was the Something
but-
Random podcast. Have a wonderful week,
No, I'm just
and don't.
So I
don't listen to
can
them.
suggest something which, first of all, you might have all watched already.
Okay.
And
We'll
I
watch
don't
it
know
again.
if it's on Netflix,
Okay.
but it's a reality show.
Ooh.
Have you watched Face Off?
Yes.
I love Face Off.
Face Off is
not.
so good.
I haven't.
We're gonna watch Face Off, guys.
Okay.
All right.
It's
There-
good. I think it's
there's
on
also-
Netflix. Yeah.
Do
I
people
don't know if
trade
it's on-
faces?
No,
Yeah,
but
it's-
there's
it's-
also
it's not like that
I got my
movie
shows
with,
confused. That's trading faces. It's my fault.
They
But
also
there's that movie Face Off with Nicolas Cage, right?
Yeah, and John Travolta. and Travolta, yeah.
but there's also a new version of Face Off called
Game
Face Off-
Face.
Game Face, yes.
Which is, I mean,
Where-
it's fun. It's sort of
It's
a
fun.
1-day little thing with 3 different challenges.
Right. It's more like Cake Wars or Cupcake Wars, one of those where they do all 3 challenges in a row on the
Yep.
same day instead of they have 3 or 4 days. So,
And
but
Rick-
I like it. It's fun.
Rick Baker and V. Neal are usually 2 of the judges. And
yeah, and
Rick
Glenn
Baker's
Hedrick
kind of a
and-
legend, so that's kind of cool.
Rick Baker is easily the best known makeup artist in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Tom Savini, dude.
No, Rick Baker's done way more than he has.
Really? Tom Savini's
Yes.
like number
Well,
one.
Tom Savini also goes in front of the camera too sometimes. That's
Yeah,
why.
that's true.
Can we pick something on Hulu? Is that do you guys have?
Sure, sure.
Have you guys seen Insecure?
No.
No,
Okay,
what
well,
is this about?
Insecure is it's on Hulu. It was actually produced by Larry Wilmore and the main actress, who I can't think of her last name, but it's Issa something, and it's an all African American cast. So in the interest of the diversity question that was asked, it's really really good. It's a really diverse cast, a lot of good stories, a lot of plot twists and stuff. But it's a really really good show. It's gotten really good acclaim.
So we have one last question, and I think you guys need a boogie because you guys are on a little bit of a time crunch this week. Is that correct?
Yes, that's 5 o'clock at our here. So
Oh no!
I gotta get home and feed kiddos and put them to
You
bed.
gotta get the bathtub.
Oh, I was gonna say it's time for cocktails. I guess that's not right.
Yeah.
On this side, that is the case.
So I've got a question. This comes from one of our listeners, Savant. Thank you, Savant, for the question. And he asks, and I'm gonna have to. We had people write in like paragraphs on paragraphs on paragraphs on these stuff.
So paraphrase this.
So I'm going to paraphrase this. So he asks if graphic violence actually in films and movies causes issues with violence in children. And I kind of want to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Wait, was that how it was, or was it like is the violence in a PG-13 movie better or worse than?
Yeah,
in
that
a
was the
rated R
second.
movie?
That was the second part.
Yeah.
If violence affects children, or if like violence in PG-13 or PG movies where they just say "ooh, gotcha" has any effect,
Or they just blow up.
yeah.
So the issue isn't necessarily that, a kid watches a movie and then they're going to become an axe murderer.
Right.
But there really is a problem with desensitizing people to violence, and children in particular.
Okay,
And
I agree with that.
So they no longer see it as something shocking or unusual. And so then, it very much normalizes violence that would be problematic, especially since a lot of the violence is violence without consequences. So all these, even cartoon characters are beating the crap out of each other. And there's no long-term consequences. And so kids kind of absorb that, especially the younger a child is, the less they understand the distinction between reality and what's on TV. And even if they do understand that distinction, they sort of psychologically are getting used to it as though it were happening in real life over and over and over again. So yeah, it is problematic, and kids learn stuff by observation. I mean, you'll see this when, kids say things at school that they heard at home, right? So kids do absorb things from all facets of their life, including media, and, it becomes part of their repertoire and their life. But it's what I find so interesting in this country is that we're so free about violence. You know, if you look at how shows are rated, a lot of, even like for young kids, cartoon violence, and then later live action violence is thought of as perfectly normal to be part of kids shows. But any aspect of sexuality, and people are like, "Oh, we must protect the children."
How dare we talk about like normal human things?
You can blow up ships and kill hundreds of people at a time, but
one boner. One boner, man.
Or a nipple.
That's a rated R film.
Yeah, that was actually
Oh,
a point made by Larry Flint. If you saw the movie The People versus Larry Flint, where he went around the country and actually made those speeches where he would show pictures of violence and say, if someone were to take pictures of a murder, they would get paid $1 million. But if someone takes a picture of a naked person, they're shamed.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting.
It's such a I want to do some research on that in society, and I'm sure there's many people who have already. But it's so intriguing to me to see how violence is okay in our culture, and then we get so offended when people are like, "Oh, violence is okay," but then we have all these things. Wait, maybe this is like one of the causes of all the issues that we're having in society nowadays is because we're so desensitized from violence.
Yeah. Well, and I was. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just thinking about. I think I was a preteen-ish when Columbine happened, and there was so much uproar about this was caused by violent video games.
Right.
And it's like I mean, I played 007 on N64, and I'm not about to go and find actual people in a high school and murder them. So I didn't get that.
I think it's because people vary in terms of their resilience and their vulnerabilities. And that's really part of the issue too, is that, is violence on TV directly related? Probably not. But is it one factor among many that if a child happens to be particularly vulnerable, that, may exacerbate that problem? I mean, kids growing up who have insecure home lives, who see violence in their communities, who see violence in their homes, then you add you up the ante with what's going on television shows. I think it's hard to argue that it doesn't sort of normalize that behavior. And it, where's the child ever get a model of how to appropriately resolve conflicts? Everything's sort of seen as like, I'm just going to go drive my car into somebody because they ticked me off,
Yeah,
Thank you.
people sometimes think of themselves as the audience. I mean, this is a different way of saying what Dr. Angel said, but you're not the only audience. Someone with, many vulnerabilities, including pre-existing underlying psychiatric problems, is also part of the audience. And that's part of the issue.
This has gone from a comedy podcast to a very cerebral thinking podcast.
I love
Fascinating.
it. I love it.
My brain
I think
hurts,
it's great.
but I
This is like the epitome of our name, something random. We've been doing comedy for 12 weeks, and now we've gone into like serious
We need to have you guys.
conversations.
We need to have you guys back on.
Yes.
Oh, yes, please.
All right. Well, I think you guys need a jet here pretty quick.
I have one more quick question.
Yes.
And this is something random, but that's what we're about. Now, I listened to your podcast from last week, and you were talking that because I went and visited my mother, she sent me home with lots of pickled things. So I want to know what your favorite pickled food is.
Ooh. I don't mind a pickled dilly bean, like a green bean. I had some of those that were pretty good.
I think I'd have to say pickled onions. I think they provide that, it's the tartness and the brininess, but it's got a little bit of that bite because it's still kind of a raw onion.
Yes.
I like
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
thinking
back
of
you up on that.
martinis?
Well, yeah, I love olives too, so that's another in a martini specifically.
Ooh,
But
pickled onions in a martini.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I've been dying to ask you this question. So.
I'm so glad you did.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you guys want to plug your show really quick?
yeah, thank you. So we are Dr. Angela
And Dr. Stephanie.
and we are the co-hosts of Chasing the Mind, which is a psychology podcast, and it's kind of random too, but we always bring everything back to the world of psychology.
However,
Awesome.
tangentially.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for being
my
on this.
goodness.
No, thank
this
you
was
so
awesome
much.
for us. This was so much fun.
It was so much
It was
fun.
great.
Let's do this again really soon because
Yes.
this was a lot of fun.
Fun stuff.
All right, thank you guys. Have a great day. Great show.
Yeah,
You too.
you guys too. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hola. I can hear myself.
Olaf, ¿cómo estás?
Olaf, como estas?
Como estes?
Olaf, come to Estes.
It would make sense because it's a cold place.
It would make sense because it is a cold place.
I forgot. So we're doing a podcast, right? Is that why we're here?
Are we
I
gonna?
think so.
Yeah.
I've lost track.
What's a podcast?
I don't know anymore, guys.
351.
What's a podcast? I'm the funniest person on the
Do we get
planet.
like peas and throw them at things?
The
Cast
pods.
Casting of pods.
Peapod. Peapod.
Okay, my wonderful comedy streak has ended.
Wonderful.
And we're back.
We wanted to answer a question from
Yeah.
Danielle Wick. It's sort of a question.
But let's talk about it. So when you guys watch movies, right? Do you guys look at the colors and do they make you think of specific things?
They absolutely do. If you don't mind, I'd like to answer this first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because as a visual person, and I work a lot with color, I notice color a lot.
Yeah.
And even when I was doing these horror film reviews and making notes for each film, I would write with the color. I thought about the color and how it made me feel and all that. Sometimes if they're more what do you call it? The brown scale, sepia? Is that how you say
Sepia.
it? But when you get into stuff that's more of the brownish black and white, you know what I'm talking about. That's definitely for me. Most of the time, it's kind of a calming, cooling thing. It puts you sort of at ease a lot of the time. Where if the colors are really bright, it makes you more excited,
Right.
or makes you pay more attention almost, and things like that. So, or if it's darker or lighter or whatever. I was gonna mention.
Oh, I was gonna ask what colors give you boners?
No. Okay, let's go into this. I want to talk about what.
Oh my God!
Let's-
I'm sitting here trying to have a common, a normal.
We need to go into the
We've had
dick
enough
jokes.
serious discussion.
This is why you need to watch Big Mouth. I'm just going to put it out there.
Keep explaining, Joel.
No,
you had something else.
I was gonna say, I was gonna bring up Tick because when we we talked about it before already, but when you went back and forth from what I called before as Band-Aid or no Band-Aid with Scotty, and the colors were changing, it told me as an audience member that something was changing.
Right.
Where, some people may have not even caught that, but someone like me who sees color really well, it really, really helped.
So let's go through some colors and see how they make you feel. Let's start with red.
Me specifically?
Let's go around the table. What do you guys think? How does red make you feel?
Michael's got a brewing look on his face, like he's coming up with something. He's doing
No,
Gloria Swanson.
He's not coming up. He's just coming. It's the face that he's got on his face. Right
Oh
now.
my!
Wow, that's an interesting face.
So is that how red makes you feel?
No.
How does red make you feel?
Thanks for joining us.
This is the part of the podcast where we wish we had a camera here.
We do. We have
Yeah, but
two
it's
of
not
them right
running.
now.
Sitting on a shelf.
Soon.
Red, what do you think?
I mean, I immediately associate that with stress and bad grades.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Anger,
All right.
hell,
Yellow.
sunshine, lollipops. Oh, sorry. Happiness.
Yeah, you feel happiness.
Happy.
How about like goldenrod?
Kitchens.
Calm. I
Feel
say calm.
How about like a purple?
What kind of a purple? Like a
I feel-
lavender or
I
a
was
violet?
thinking just like straight up purple.
I think straight up purple, I find it gives me confidence. I don't know, like when I'm wearing something that's purple, I feel
Royal?
really bold and
Yeah, I think it's kind of exciting. It's kind of stimulating to the mind because it's not. You don't see perfect
not.
purple very often in the world.
Right.
It's a hard dye to mix, so it's not used a lot. You don't see a lot of purple food or purple. So it's just. I think
and
it's exciting.
And that's initially why it was associated with royalty.
And the color purple, what's interesting about the title of that book is they go more into it in the book, but yeah.
What about mauve?
I don't know what
What
mauve
color is mauve? Is it like a reddish? Is it a bluish?
I know
What
that
do you think?
I know that it was
Obviously,
on
you thought
Joseph's coat somewhere, but I didn't keep track.
Also ochre and violet and blue.
We should just go through all those colors: red, yellow, green,
And
brown,
and
scarlet,
and
black,
and
ochre,
and
peach,
and
ruby,
and
olive,
and
violet,
and
fawn.
Okay,
and...
that's enough of that. You see that Murder, She Wrote DVD right there? That's mauve.
no, that's Angela Lansbury.
Oh, anyway. Yeah.
mauve. Yeah.
So, what do you guys want to make a movie out of this week?
Well, we were talking about violence in cartoons
That's
and
true.
Oh,
children's
that's right, that's right.
programming and
We want to
as
show the
opposed to adult-
consequences
but yeah.
of cartoon violence, taking it all the way through. Like, let's say, what's his name? Like, Wile E. Coyote actually catches the Roadrunner and then kills him and eat him, and then there's like a
They
trial,
fine him,
or
yeah.
like there's like the cops show up and he's arrested, and there's like there's either fines to pay or like a trial, and he's in jail. And
Okay, all
and,
right.
and you'd think it would start out like the cartoon, but
That's
then
almost-
suddenly
that's-
it's mostly consequences.
Yeah, that's almost a Zootopia type thing.
Are we using?
Oh, well, it's funny because
It'd
I
be
never
like a
see the second
prequel
half.
to Zootopia.
Are we using Hanna-Barbera or like classic cartoons?
I think it'd be easier to use like cartoons with people in them, like the Flintstones or whatever.
Right.
You know, animals don't really. I mean, of course, animals have consequences in life, but
Oh, you mean like-
they can't go to trial and things like
So
that.
you're thinking like human cartoon characters.
Like Homer Simpson is the
If he were
kids
to
are
act-
taken away for child
if
abuse.
Homer were to actually choke his son repeatedly, he'd probably have his son taken away by now, or at least divorced.
yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So let's discuss an episode of The Simpsons.
Even
No,
though his
I
son's,
don't want to do The Simpsons though for some reason.
even though they've been he's been 10 years old for 30 plus years.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's the reason why.
I also like the idea of like we joked about like Bugs Bunny, you know, just getting shot. I mean, I think that has been done in another show.
Yeah,
or
Family
something.
Guy.
Elmer Fudd shoots him, and then that's the end of
That's
the
the
cartoon.
end of it. But I mean, like, or like Daffy Duck too. Like he just comes right up and boom, and he's shot, or like he's really crazy and he's, I know he can't feed himself, and
Rabbit
I don't know.
season, duck season, they're both dead.
yeah,
End of scene, end of show.
yeah. I do like the idea of just consequences, like we're like in the vein of Too Many Cooks, where it just keeps going, and you're like, it was kind of funny, but now it's just like a sad trial show.
So we just combine
And-
all of our favorite cartoon characters in these very, very short
I think
consequences.
I think it should stem
Base.
around like a classic, like Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner cartoon.
Like, yeah, even if they're no-name characters,
Right? And here's what happens is the Roadrunner puts up a fake like hole in the side of a mountain, right?
Yeah.
And the coyote runs into it.
And
now
he's
there's
in
a
like
trial.
traction.
So
like he has to cut. They have to wheel him in. He has the neck brace, and he's like, "Which one? That's the one, Your
Oh,
Honor.
yeah.
That's the
yeah, he
that's
sues
the
he
Roadrunner."
sues the Roadrunner for emotional and physical.
Yeah, but not only that, the other cars that drive into the wall are also now suing the Roadrunner.
Oh, yeah, it's
my
called
gosh.
it's called an attractive nuisance. That's a whole insurance term.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you used to work in insurance.
Yeah, so there's a whole thing about that. Suddenly they're like, how dare you put all these signs that say free carrots that go off the cliff because children just walked off the cliff. You were trying to get Bugs Bunny and
Right.
14 toddlers who knew how to read.
So
okay,
I think,
don't know what I'm
it
doing.
should just start off playing like a normal cartoon. And yeah, and then the moment Wile E. Coyote runs into the wall is this moment where it snaps into like this more like reality of the consequences of the Roadrunner. That yes, you were being chased by this creature and you're trying to like stop it from happening, but you've just ruined this person's life.
Similar to like a. I'm getting like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit type vibe,
Oh,
but
yeah,
even more serious. Like,
Right.
part of me is wondering like is the original opening of the show part of what we're watching, or is it almost like stop the cameras, guys, stop the camera. I really hurt my back this time. Like they were making a show and he really got hurt, or if it's still if it's a play within a play. I don't know if I like that.
Ooh,
versus,
okay, I do
versus
like-
he really is trying to get the character.
I do like the idea of like because if there's going to be like a court case and they're going to show this footage, where does that camera come from, right?
So that would be one of the things that they mentioned.
So why not be like this whole thing where it's like what you were saying, like a TV show where they were filming this and there wasn't like proper protection happening on set, and now they're being sued, like the company. Looney Tunes company is being sued.
The part of me feels like that's been done with the Roger Rabbit, because I'm also like, I like the idea of turning the tables on the audience,
right?
For them to be like, wait, what is happening? Like watching I don't know, like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, where you turn the audience as part of the like, oh, or in the movie Rubber with, I'm sorry, did it again,
or in the Onion, the movie.
Yeah, those kinds of things.
No, so what if this were an anthology-based miniseries?
Okay.
Where each episode was about real-world consequences of these cartoons. So the actor that plays Wile E. Coyote, like in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you know, would be in the real world and suing the actual
Warner Brothers
for all the abuse he's had to put up with.
Okay, I like that to a certain extent. My only problem is I want the cartoons to have the actual like consequences in them, because that's what we're trying to do.
We don't want to go to actually make another Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Right.
You want it to take place in the actual storyline.
I think.
Yes,
but
I do like that.
I think you're on the right track with the anthology show.
Yeah.
Where
like maybe this is just chapter 2 of all the things we're doing. Barber of Seville, and suddenly a stage manager walks in going, "Who the hell destroyed my set? What is this? A cannon in the middle of the?" A rabbit,
and it
Elmer
really
Fudd
goes
just walked
like
in here and...
to that next level where we see court cases and stuff like that with these characters, and it's not funny. It's not. Yeah. It's like
for it to be like
it's
distinctly
like American
not funny.
Vandal.
Turns into Law and Order.
Yeah,
and
Did you say Law and Order?
I know. I can't help it. I say it every time.
It's
actually there's a woman named Lauren Order.
Law and Order.
Oh, that'll be directed by Lauren Order.
I'm not even from New Jersey. Law and Order.
Have you been watching Law and Order? I love that.
Could we have Tom and Jerry? Upset because they're underrepresented by not being allowed to talk.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say Tom and Jerry. Same with Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. But if you get, I keep Bullwinkle and Rocky keep popping in my head because in their universe they were the only two animals. Everybody else was humans.
Oh, that's right.
And they're getting sued they're suing for like discrimination against being animals and
being the token bull or moose and squirrel.
Moose and squirrel.
And you have this little tiny short man that just won't leave them alone, and for no reason.
So, what do we call this show?
Oh boy.
I suggest, and this is just me because I like. Sometimes you need to trick people into. You need to hook them to get them in to do it. Like if you're going to write an article about how to solve. The lack of food in Ireland and too many babies, you just call it a modest proposal. You don't call it, I think we should eat babies. the Tom Swift.
Right.
So you got to kind of hook them and kind of bring them in a little bit. So I think if this one's about consequences, we don't call it, this is what you get, all you people who like violence. You should call it something funny like Tommy versus the Train, or Train Troubles, or those type of titles that they use.
Bait and switch type.
Yeah,
thing.
bait and switch type titles. So people
we can call it bait and switch. I mean,
yeah, we might as well even call it bait and switchy. the two creatures that want to fight each other.
The lovable cartoon. Worm and Hook.
Yeah, so then while you're watching it, you sit down and you're like, oh, this will be fun. It's kind of like Saturday morning. You sit down like, oh, he's getting carrots. Oh, ha ha ha. Oh, wait, there's a lot. Oh my God, is that blood? Jesus, there's a lot of blood. Oh my God, the ambulance is coming in. What? And then suddenly, like you're watching what turns out to be a crime show and a Law and Order thing. When you were expecting just some good old-fashioned hijinks.
I wanted yucks. Came here for yucks.
Bait and switch, guys. That's a good one. Is there anything else?
Yeah, bait and switch or baity and switchy, or I don't know.
So we've got Rocky and Bullwinkle fighting against discrimination. We've got Wile E. Coyote.
So bait and switch the characters, right? Are they like detective and lawyer, kind of like Law and Order kind of style.
Oh no, I was thinking that they're just like they're the two people that the whole Law and Order is about. Like the Law and Order system comes in. So first you'd have like bait and switch are fighting each other. It's like, oh hey, here's a hot dog, but it's really a piece of red dynamite with a eat this, and then his fucking head blows up, and you're like, oh, and then the wife comes out like, oh my god, that's my he had kids, you provided for our family, you blew his head up, you son of a bitch.
We're on two separate tracks.
That's
there a
what
little
I mean,
bit.
yeah.
We've got the bait and switch as the leads, and then the Looney Tunes characters as the leads. I think
I was
Bait
saying
and Switch,
Bait and Switch are Looney Tune character-y names.
I don't know. I think Bait and Switch should be the main characters, and every show could be a different
cartoon.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
So Bait and
Sylvester
Switch should be
More
like
so.
the
They
detectives.
they are the detectives.
That is
they are
Ice-T and Vincent D'Onofrio.
Richard Belzer.
Yeah, in this show.
But then they could also be kind of characters themselves. They just happen to be like wear a tie and be like, the DA will never stand for this.
And it's serious, too.
Yeah, and
it's a worm and a hook with eyes. And that's where some of the comedy comes from.
Right. I think the intro to each I think the intro to each episode could start with whatever cartoon we're using, Sylvester and Tweety, whatever, and we're using it, and you think you're just watching that, and then all of a sudden the bad thing happens, and then it's
oh my gosh.
Or whatever song we want to use.
Like, you son of a bitch, I'm going to call Bait and Switch.
I have a great episode.
Yes, please.
Talking about what we were talking about this week. Anything and Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, yeah. With the sexual harassment.
Would be that's this week.
Oh, yeah.
Because Pepe Le Pew would have gotten his ass beaten by now.
That's
Pepe Le
These
Pew
are-
is like the poster no doesn't mean no.
These are going to
Poster
be
child for no
pertinent
doesn't-
cartoons.
Ridiculous.
PC.
I do want someone to sue Acme for bad products
Yes,
at some point.
please.
Yes.
Got to be. I think Wile E.
yeah.
Coyote
Like
was.
even if it's just something we mention in the background, like please,
Yeah, that would be-
please, I don't have time for this.
That
I
would
gotta
be better for Wile E. Coyote.
Acme shows up somewhere in every episode.
Yeah,
I
like
think.
there's some kind of lawyer who's like I can't have time for this. I got
Acme
lawsuits going up the wazoo. Tons of paperwork.
I love it. And Tweety Bird, I'm more than a speech impediment.
Respect
Elmer
my
Fudd and
cage.
speech therapy.
Well, that's a show, guys. We just made ourselves a fun new... Not really that fun.
Usually, sometimes we do
really
movies, but
depressing.
this is an actual show.
I want
This
to
is a
produce
television
this.
that has
Yeah.
good
I want to produce
good
this.
syndication.
You're producing this?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it directed by Law and Order?
Law and
No.
Order.
It's
There
produced.
are-
It's produced and directed by me.
I just looked...
But your screen name is Law and Order.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please
okay.
do your stage name, your theater acting name as Law and Order.
No, you could use something else.
I love... Okay, there are many Law and Orders on Facebook, and I wonder... They're younger.
What, did you already look?
I already looked. I'm
my
wondering if their parents said their names out loud once before they chose that name.
I am guaranteeing you. Wait, the last name is Order, O-R-D-E-R?
Yeah, O-R-D-E-R.
Oh, I don't... Yeah, I guess you'd have to. I think it's just enough to maybe where they wouldn't know.
Well, and depending on what part of the country you're from,
that's true.
If you say Lara, got a bed, honey, or Laura, it's
Laura. Yeah.
Laura.
That's it's almost like you're in town. It's very subtle because they only mention.
It's a privilege to be.
They only mention the buddy cop's partner's name once or twice.
Yeah,
but he's
Officer
Officer
Lockstock
Barrel.
and Officer Barrel.
Lockstock and Officer Barrel.
Officers Lock, Stock, and Barrel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they never actually say Officers Lock, Stock, and Barrel. They say Officer Lock, Stock, Officer Barrel.
They do that. In,
You have to make the connection yourself.
In Curtains too, where they have Detective Chaffee and Detective Macchiato.
Stop it.
I almost got through it.
Stop it.
Oh no, it will never stop.
No, it's never gonna stop. Anyways,
So what color scheme are we going to shoot this cartoon?
Yeah.
all over the spectrum, man. Depends
I think
on the
after it
episode.
happens, it's got to go more dark.
Oh yeah, yeah. It has to like the filters come off.
That silver nitrate.
silver
film strip.
nitrate comes right through.
Anyways, guys,
Not romanticizing it.
That's our show.
That's good. That's a good
Joel's
show.
gonna produce it. I think I'm super excited for this one.
I would DVR it and probably watch half.
Yeah.
I want to see what Dr. Angela and Dr. Stephanie have to say
I would
about
wait
this.
till it comes out on Netflix. And
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Dr. Angela and Dr. Stephanie.
Thank
for...
you, ladies, so much.
I'm sorry, we're gonna make this we were talking in our little break that we had. We're gonna make this like a consistent thing. I think it was really nice to have them and just talk about the psychology of film.
I have more questions.
Joel has so many more questions.
I have a bunch of questions.
I think it's because I'm a psycho.
I have at least one question. That question is,
what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
Did you really not have one?
No.
Of course you didn't have one. You just start talking.
That's my
trying to set people up here.
All right. Anyways, guys.
That's my thing. I just open my mouth and start talking. and whatever happens,
Sometimes I
pretend it
start
was on
saying a
purpose.
sentence, and even I don't know where it's going. I just hope that I get there.
Talk about the movies.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Have a wonderful week. My name is Charles Joseph Kelly.
Well, and hey, I am Michael C. Macbeth.
I'm Scotty Schaefer, King of the Cocoa.
Joel, again, here with the co-host thing going on.
Psycho!
Joel Adam Chavez, that's me.
And guys, have yourselves a wonderful week. You know what we forgot to do? We forgot to have them tell a scary story.